We live in a pretty amazing time, don't we? We've got medical technology that's practically science fiction. We can transplant organs, we can edit genes. But here's the paradox, the thing that doesn't quite add up. Chronic illnesses, things like diabetes, hypertension, autoimmune diseases, they're absolutely exploding.
So, if we're so smart and so advanced, what's going on? In this explainer, we're going to dig into one source's really provocative answer. It basically argues that in our rush forward, we've thrown away an ancient, time-tested blueprint for how to actually be healthy.
Now, to set the stage, the source kicks things off with this, let's be honest, almost unbelievable claim from history. It paints a picture of a past where being sick just wasn't really a thing, and living a super long life was the standard. Now, whether you buy that or not, it creates this incredible contrast with our world today. It really makes you wonder, what did they know that we've completely forgotten?
So, here's our game plan. First, we're going to look at the source's diagnosis of our modern world. Then we'll get into the specific daily habits it says are the problem. After that, we'll explore the ancient fixes it proposes, take a look at our food and cookware, and finally, we'll touch on the deeper ideas about energy that tie this whole philosophy together.
Okay, let's dive right in. According to the source we're looking at, the problem isn't progress itself. It's the kind of progress we've embraced. The very things we think of as modern and sophisticated, well, they're pointed to as the main culprits behind our health problems.
Wow. I mean, that's a powerful and pretty brutal way to put it, right? This metaphor from the source suggests that all the convenient things we buy and use are actually part of a slow, self-inflicted harm. And the craziest part, we're often doing it without even realizing it.
The source argues that the biggest threats to our health aren't these big, dramatic one-off events. Nope. It's the small, seemingly harmless things we do every single day. The critique starts from the moment we wake up, or maybe even before that, while we're still asleep.
First up, our bedding. The argument here is that synthetic fabrics like polyester and nylon aren't just sitting there quietly. The source claims they actually release chemicals, naming things like dioxins and furans, which it says mess with our body's ability to repair itself overnight and jack up our stress levels. Natural fibers like cotton, on the other hand, are seen as totally neutral.
Okay, next on the list is something a lot of us love, that morning cup of tea. The source presents a really challenging idea here. It's not seen as a gentle way to start your day, but as a chemical disruptor. The claims are pretty stark. That it contains tranquilizers to get you hooked, that it makes food literally rot in your stomach, and that it makes your whole body way more acidic.
And this example perfectly captures the source's core philosophy. You know our modern obsession with killing 99.9% of germs? Well, this view says that's a gigantic mistake. Toothpaste is claimed to just wipe out everything in your mouth, including the good bacteria we need to produce something called nitric oxide. And that stuff is absolutely crucial for keeping our blood vessels flexible and healthy.
Okay, so after pointing out all these problems, the source doesn't just leave us hanging. It offers a bunch of specific traditional replacements for these modern habits, little hacks, if you will, that are designed to get us back into a more natural rhythm.
So if tea is out, what's in? The source suggests a specific herbal brew. You boil water, preferably in a brass pot, and add herbs like hibiscus or mint. And what's really interesting is that for people who are hooked on tea, it suggests adding other herbs like brahmi and shankashpi, which are said to give you that same calm feeling without the supposed downsides.
And what about dental care? Well, the main piece of advice is surprisingly simple. Instead of waging chemical warfare on your mouth, the source suggests the most important thing you can do is just mechanically clean it by rinsing vigorously with water 8 times after every single meal.
From our personal routines, the critique then shifts right into the heart of the home, the kitchen. And the focus here isn't just on what we're eating, but on the pots and pans we're cooking our food in.
Now this is where the philosophy gets really interesting. The source claims that your cookware isn't just a container, it's an active ingredient in your meal. It argues that modern materials like non-stick and steel can leach chemicals and actually destroy what it calls the life energy of the food. On the flip side, traditional materials like clay or tin-lined brass are said to preserve that energy and even add beneficial minerals.
Moving on to dairy, the source presents this really striking chart. It points to this massive gap between how much milk is officially produced in India and how much is actually consumed. The argument is that this huge shortfall is being filled with synthetic milk, supposedly made from things like urea. So what's the solution? Pretty simple, actually. Just opt out of the commercial dairy system altogether. The source suggests you can easily make your own fresh, plant-based milks at home.
You just use ingredients like soaked local almonds or sesame seeds, and that way you have total control over what's going into your body.
So here's a crucial point. This philosophy isn't just about avoiding physical toxins. The source claims that our health is deeply, deeply connected to our energetic and spiritual environment, and that modern life has thrown that part of our lives out of whack too.
This argument even extends to sacred spaces like temples. They aren't just seen as places to worship, they're described as these finely tuned energy centers. But the source contends when we bring modern synthetic materials into these spaces, we effectively insulate them and block ourselves off from their spiritual and health benefits.
So what kinds of things are we talking about? Well, things like chemical-based incense, plastic prayer mats you might sit on, musical instruments made of steel, and even offering genetically modified flowers. These are all identified as insulators that create a barrier, cutting us off from the natural, positive energy these sacred places are supposed to provide.
And the proposed alternative to commercial incense is incredibly simple. You take a piece of dried cow dung, put a little pure ghee on it, light it, and put it in a clay dish. According to the source, this process doesn't just make a nice smell, it's claimed to actually generate a significant amount of oxygen and create a tangible positive energy in the space.
So to bring this all together, the source offers up 5 core principles. It's a mix of the mental, like starting and ending your day with gratitude, the dietary, like eating fiber for your gut health, and the physical, like daily exercise and traditional breathing exercises known as pranayama. It also includes simple practices like massaging your feet with ghee and getting a bit of sunlight every day, which it calls a powerful way to create natural antioxidants.
And that really leaves us with this final big question. The source presents a compelling, if definitely controversial case, that our modern lifestyle is just fundamentally at odds with our own biology. It makes you stop and ask, in our constant race for what's new, have we accidentally dismissed ancient wisdom that might hold the real keys to our well-being?